I realized with the studies I did that a lot of people that are self-saboteur, it's because they're so scared of the uncomfortable, not knowing where they're going, not knowing if they're going to be successful in something, and right then and there, they put themselves on pause. Like I didn't understand before, and you said at the beginning that they do this to protect themselves because of this unknown that they don't know, and this is freaky for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
did you realize that as well as that unknown really creates a lot of self-saboteurs?
Yeah, because basically one of the things, even successful people
Yeah.
don't get to the next level because that's uncomfortable. It sounds so simple, and it is. That's what took me over 30 years.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a year thing. Oh, yeah, I found it. It was 30 years of trial and error and really working with thousands and thousands of people. And when I say this never fails, it never fails. And we prove that.
I hope people are fucking recording this right now because this is fucking so important, and it's been gold. Everything that's been coming out your mouth, because literally there's so much stuff that we don't understand about that part of us there, because it's in us, all of us.
Have you ever seen the master domino, domino masters? They push this one domino and it goes, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's say balloons are released. Well, what's the last thing you see?
The balloons.
The balloons. That's your imposter syndrome, your procrastination, your depression, your anxiety, your over talking, you not selling, you do all these things. Everything you see, what? Last. So
Wow.
what do? You take your coping methods and put them where? You put them on the balloons, not the one domino that started it all. So what's easier? Hold down all the balloons and stop pushing the damn domino. That domino is your inborn sabotage.
That's the trigger.
That causes every negative emotion
Wow.
that you experience until those balloons are released.
Welcome back on the Rumbling Facts podcast, the place where critical thinking meets uncomfortable truth for real growth. This is your number one destination, people, for the people that want to challenge the script, speak what's real, and build their mindset to the next level, one hard truth at a time. I'm your host, DjRetsam, a rapper, creator, truth seeker, and the founder of Making Others Read, where we take books that are unwanted by people and give them back to the communities. We've been giving back 100,000 books in the past 3 years. It's really amazing. Knowledge should be shared, people, and that's why I do it. And the podcast is the same. It's all about digging deeper, exposing truth, and sparking real growth in one another. Today, we're diving deep in one of the most powerful yet hidden forces of our lives, self-sabotage. We are our own worst fucking enemy, people. And I've been through hell and back. And when I look back in retrospect, most of the time I fucked up. I put myself in those situations. And it's all because of self-sabotage and procrastination. So our guest today is Dr. Phil Agrios, a man who has dedicated decades to uncovering the science behind self-sabotage and helping others break free from these mental traps that hold us back. He is the author of Life's One Law, Nature's Blueprint for Repeatable Success in Life and Business. Dr. Agrios has spent years studying the inborn sabotage trait, a discovery that revolutionized the way we understand and overcome these obstacles within ourselves, people. His T-Now method is a powerful tool that addresses both the imposter syndrome and procrastination, two forces that prevent millions of people from stepping into their full potential. Today, Dr. Agrios is here to help us understand and deal with this self-sabotage. Let's dive deep into this conversation, and welcome to Rumbling Facts podcast, the incredible Dr. Philip Agrios. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for inviting me on. Appreciate it.
It's such an honor to have you. I've been following your work, and it's clear that you found a way to tap into something that a lot of people struggle with, like overcoming self-sabotage. What initially drew you to this field and like, fuck, I'm going to help these people?
Well, I kind of made myself thinking I was the king of self-sabotage over the years and decades with my practice, with my family, and so many things. And I just started falling into this whole thing, and I happened to stumble across what we call the inborn sabotage trait. It's a trait that we are actually born with. You can't get rid of. So it's there not to undermine you. It's there to protect you from the very success that you're seeking, because that success subconsciously is more painful to actually to achieve and to sustain. So we go back doing what we've been doing, which is easier. That's that imposter syndrome. That's the procrastination or whatever we do not to that undermines that success because it's uncomfortable. And when I first found it, I was like, this is too simple. There's no way. So I went out to try to disprove it. And over 30 years, researching thousands and thousands of people, not only was able to prove it, found a way to switch it off instantly, and it works 100% of the time.
Wow.
And we call it the T now method, which is T means transcend. So transcend any adversity, no matter how big or small, instantaneously, because you're going to switch off that saboteur. And what I tell people, you never get rid of it, because that would be stupid, because it's your protector, right?
Okay,
And there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with you. It's protecting you. And it's just showing you how to dance with it, how not to use it as much. And by using what we call the T now method, or the antidote is the exact thing to do, is to offset this so that you do not self-sabotage.
So then you got into this field like fucking head first by not really knowing anything about this, and wow, that's incredible, because you spent a decade studying self-sabotage. Can you break down the inborn sabotaging trait and how this can impact most people's lives without them realizing?
Yeah. See, people think that self-sabotage is the mindset. It isn't. It's actually a biological trait. And you are actually born with this.
Okay.
And it's not that you are born and then through your traumas and your experiences, then now you create procrastination and other things, or this trait. You're born with it, and that's how you specifically protect yourself. So when you release your personal professional power and you hit that wall, your saboteur kicks in to protect you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not an idiot or a loser, or all the other 100 words we say to ourselves. We're just in protection. So imagine when you hit that wall, as you start to contract, knowing the one trait that is causing you to protect yourself, and then using what we call the antidote, the exact opposite to it, you immediately go into growth. So now you expand, a little contraction, expand. Now you're doing this compared to consistently contracting in that hamster wheel over and over again. So what I was able to do was find that there's actually 3 traits that actually make up who we are. And we call them the director, the supplier, and the communicator trait.
Okay.
And those 3 traits make up who we are. And then when we take those traits and place them in a sequence, we call this the protective sequence. This is the sequence you're born with. And no matter how you protect yourself, you go these 3 steps, and that's how you protect yourself. And then by switching it and going the opposite direction, that's how you go into growth and to evolve. So at that moment, we found that there's only 6 sequences of human behavior. So there's only 6 people in the world.
Wow. When we think we're so unique, but when you look at that in particular, we realize that we're way more common than we think there. Well, in your book titled Life's One Law, Nature's Blueprint for Repeatable Success in Life and Business, what is one law that you're referring to, and how can it help somebody get back on track?
Yeah, in that book, that was one of my first books that I wrote. And I wrote it in order to get my information out, as well as to help people to understand that there was a 6-step blueprint that I discovered that nature uses to come back from her storm. So these 6 steps is the same 6 steps that we have in order to solve any business or personal problem. And I show that through steps in the book. And that blueprint, when I looked at the 6 steps, when I placed the opposite steps together, that's how I created the 3 basic principles of the universe. So everything from the atoms to the galaxies are that's focused on the director, the supplier, and the communicator, because that's all we do as humans, and that's all we do in our atoms and everything else is that we direct, we supply, and we communicate. That's it. That's how simple it is. Everything else is just a building up of all these 3 things consistently over and over again. So I had to teach myself quantum physics and other things to dive into that more often. But I've been mainly focusing on human behavior and how this law is basically showing us is why we go down the road that we go down and how to shift that road if you don't like that road anymore.
Since you're so passionate about self-sabotage and stuff like that, have you been through self-sabotage yourself before like going into that field and like, goddamn, I gotta help people get out of this because I went through this shit?
I went through a lot of stuff. So I went through, it all started from a false accusation from an insurance company. I used to be a chiropractor and a functional medicine practitioner. My specialty was thyroid and autoimmune disease, the sick of the sickest. And we had very high success rates because we helped people realize this saboteur was causing them to consistently be unhealthy and to continue down that road so that and when they use the antidote, it shifted so they can continue down more healthy habits instead of going back to the unhealthy habits, which was more comfortable for them. So I was getting very highly successful rates. And one of the things was that 3 things was going to happen to. I was going to go to jail. I was going to jail for fraud. And I was going to lose my license. And I had to pay back 3 times of what the insurance companies paid me. And as I said, it was all baloney. They were just coming after me because of certain things, and it was all untrue. So nothing ever happened to me. But during that time, it created a lot of stress. I became disabled.
For sure.
During that time, my father, very young father, 71, healthy, developed brain cancer, and within 7 months he passed, and I became the primary caretaker of my mom. And then 7 years later she passed. I went through financial ruin. I was on disability. I couldn't practice anymore, and later I was able, through this work and other things, get myself back practicing. But during that whole situation, I went through a horrific divorce, went through financial ruin a few times. Unfortunately, one of my daughters almost tried to commit suicide. They said that if my ex came home 10 minutes early, she would have been gone. So all of this, and there's a lot more.
Yeah.
With all the trauma and all the things that happened to me caused me to break things down in order for me to find this. And that's why I left my practice 3 years ago. I shut it down to do this full time. And I'm here until another 60 years until somebody takes me. But yeah, I have this huge responsibility that I have something that no one else has. There's nothing like this in the world.
Yeah,
And I've had people
I
take
never
it.
seen this before, so
Yeah,
that's why I
there's
wanted
nothing
you
like
on.
it. So I have this huge why, and that's why I get up at 5:30 in the morning, because I want to help and tap into the millions of people that need this. And that's my why I do this and why I'm on your podcast.
Procrastination and imposter syndrome are 2 major hurdles that a lot of people go through. How does your T Now method addresses both issues simultaneously?
Well, both are just protection.
Okay.
Okay. No matter what, when you're out of the flow, when things are resistive, when you're stressed, you worry, or whatever, you're in protection. That's all it is. So there's only 2 things we do. We protect, we grow, we contract, we expand, we give and take. We're vibrational beings. So let me give you an analogy. Have you ever seen the master domino, domino masters? They push this one domino and goes, right?
Yeah.
Let's say balloons are released. Well, what's the last thing you see?
The balloons.
The balloons. That's your imposter syndrome, your procrastination, your depression, your anxiety, your over talking, you not selling, you do all these things. Everything you see, what? Last. So what do? You take your coping methods and put them where? You put them on the balloons, not the one domino that started it all. So what's easier? Hold down all the balloons and stop pushing the damn domino. That domino is your inborn sabotage.
That's the trigger.
That causes every negative emotion that you experience until those balloons are released. So what we do is that goes down the road of frustration and desperation. But when you just switch it right? Those of you can't see and you're driving and listening, taking my hand, and I'm just switching my hand from the front to the back. And from there, you go down the T now method. That's by using the antidote. You must now go down the road of growth, inspiration, and motivation. So it's basically the same domino, depending on which side you push it. One way you go into protection,
Yeah.
and the same domino, push it the other way, you go into motivation and evolution. So growth and protection are the same thing. They're happening instantaneously. It's up to you which side you want to push and go forward with.
Wow. Oh my
So
God.
there's only one thing to focus on for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's the trigger.
Thing.
It's the trigger.
Right. And that's what I found.
Wow, I really like the way you explained that thing with the dominoes. Right when you said that domino thing with the balloon at the end, like, oh my God, I caught on like at the second, like understood like what our brain does, like because it's complex, but the way you said it right there, oh wow, that made a lot of sense, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Oh,
that was interesting, if I may interrupt. You said the brain. Only a third of us need mindset. That's why the other 2/3 mindset doesn't work.
Okay.
What we found was each trait, one trait governs the mental and the thoughts. The other trait governs the gut, the feelings, and the other one covers the emotions, the heart. So depending on your saboteur will depend on what part of the body, as well as certain techniques that will be different. So that if you had a significant other, right, once I know your sequence, I can tell everything about you, why you did what you did, what's going on today, and why you'll continue doing what you're doing. If you had a significant other, I can just ask you a couple of questions, tell you everything about them, and never meet them.
Exactly. Me too.
Tell you how you two interact.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that aspect of it, when you know, so you will then do one thing with one antidote, and the other, and your significant other will do something different. But imagine knowing why they do what they do. You'll know now, so conflict can drop tremendously. We've stopped divorces, we've helped parent-child relationships, business partners, helping people with their clients, so many different things to understand the other person. So now there's no more judgment. It's now understanding and compassion, because everybody has a saboteur. So I can judge you based on my superpower, which is your saboteur, and vice versa.
I realized with the studies I did that a lot of people that are self-saboteur, it's because they're so scared of the uncomfortable, not knowing where they're going, not knowing if they're going to be successful in something. And right then and there, they put themselves on pause. Like I didn't understand before. And you said at the beginning that they do this to protect themselves because of this unknown that they don't know. And this is freaky for a lot of people. So yeah. Did you realize that as well, as that unknown really creates a lot of self-saboteurs?
Yeah, because basically one of the things, even successful people, don't get to the next level because that's uncomfortable, right? I don't care whether you're a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, or you're poor, or you're on the streets. Everybody has that protective moment, right? So when you understand that for yourself, now you know that it's okay if you go into the protection contraction. It's just there for you to protect yourself. For instance, I don't care if you go in the corner, take your pillow, suck your thumb in the fetal position on the floor. I'm good with that. People are like, why? You're just protecting yourself. I'm good with that. But here's the challenge. How long are you there for? That's the problem. How long are you creating that procrastination?
Because if it's years, it's a problem.
For a little bit. Right. It's okay to procrastinate for a little bit, but if you only procrastinate for 5 minutes or maybe a day compared to months that you were doing, see how you're improving and moving forward. But now you know you're doing it, and you know how to move forward with it once you have this antidote.
Wow. That so makes sense. So I have this segment of uncomfortable truth. So here we go. What's one of the hardest truths you realized in your career or life?
One of the hardest truths. One of the hardest truths was that it was me co-creating my reality. That life wasn't happening to me. Life wasn't happening to me. It was happening from me, through me, and for me. And once I realized that, and with the antidote, then I realized that I had control. And by co-creating what I have, because everything outside of you is you. The person you can't stand is a part of you can't stand. They're just showing up to show you what you're not dealing with. That's why you're pissed off at them. So once you deal with that part of you, that saboteur, and you deal with the antidote, two things happen to that person. They leave or they change because they still want to be in your world. So it was basically that hard truth that it wasn't the environment. It wasn't the financial situation. It wasn't this person. It was me creating my world to show a part of me so I could evolve.
What I realize in retrospect, it's when you're living through these stuff, there's everybody to blame. But when you look back, and I've been through addiction, I've been through hell and back a couple of times, and when I relook at everything there, oh my God, I put that chess piece there every time. It was my fault. I put myself in those situations, and it's always in retrospect. It's incredible.
Remember, it wasn't your fault. You were just protecting yourself. That addiction is just this one thing. That one thing is called the addiction. One thing calls you something. Yeah. In every situation, it's always just one thing within you. And that's why this creates everything.
Wow. What's the most uncomfortable moral dilemma that you had to face?
One of the most uncomfortable was knowing that I was innocent and I was being gone after by the medical and the chiropractic board due to politics.
Yeah.
And but once because basically what happens is we in New Jersey, we were creating medical centers, being chiropractors. And even though it was legal, we were the first ones to start doing this, and the medical board didn't like chiropractors to have medical doctors and all that because we were helping people. And they went after like 5 of us throughout the state, and that was the start. Wow. Having no idea. And now, but the only thing that saved me was my reputation. People knew of my reputation. That's why I always told my kids, you got nothing except your reputation. Make sure it's clean. Wow. And that's what saved me.
I think that's one of the best advice my grandpa told me. He's like, when you go in a room, think that you still have that hockey jersey on because your name is on yourself at all times and you represent yourself at all times. You go in a room and you better leave looking good for those people because you don't know if that person could be your best friend. Maybe he'll teach you, meet you, your wife one day. You don't know. So treat everybody good and you represent yourself at all times. And I feel like people in the new generation really don't live with that because if you're not on their cell phone, they don't really care. They just pass in the road right beside you. What's an aspect of self-sabotage that you believe is misrepresented in the movies or media?
That self-sabotage is all on you. It's your fault compared to it being self-protection. That's all self-sabotage is just self-protection. And that's what I discovered.
I think it's incredible because I had never analyzed that like that. Right when you said it at the beginning, everything just made sense of why we do it. And if you don't understand why your body or your brain is doing something, how the fuck can you fix it, bro? You need to know. You need to know the pattern to intercept it for sure. When you look at the bigger picture, what's something about the world that no one seems willing to confront, but you've come to realize is the key to understanding our future?
It comes down to saboteur. I've had multi-million-dollar companies ready to implode, but once they understood their saboteur and how the board was interacting, that it saved them. I've had people ready to go to divorce attorneys the next day, but realized that they didn't hate each other. They were just protecting themselves from each other. I've had teenagers and major problems and parents help them. Veterans with PTSD showing that the PTSD was just protection, nothing wrong with them. And so many things. So yeah, when I say this, it sounds so simple, and it is. That's what took me over 30 years.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a year thing. It was 30 years of trial and error and really working with thousands and thousands of people. And when I say this never fails, it never fails. And we prove that.
I hope people are fucking recording this right now because this is fucking so important, and it's been gold. Everything that's been coming out your mouth, because literally there's so much stuff that we don't understand about that part of us there because it's in us, all of us, no matter who you are. When a lot of people realize that they're self-saboteur, would some people go even in the worst way that there's no fixing them, like there's nothing possible to do, or there's always something that maybe someone can do?
Oh, it's always there. It's whether their willingness to use it, because again, it's more uncomfortable using the antidote in the beginning because it's weird. It's the brain's like, what? Do this? I'm so used to doing this. But after a while, they start seeing this. And then the goal is for them to use their antidote, the T9 method, more on a subconscious level than they are with their saboteur. And knowing that if it does come, it's okay. You're just protecting yourself. So your audience should write this sentence down. At the moment when you're stressed or resistance or something's not right, just ask yourself, why am I protecting myself? Why am I protecting myself at this moment in time? And that will at least help shift some of the thoughts.
A lot of people think that they're not living self-sabotage. So what are some signs that people need to check out for themselves of how to really, analyze or see the pattern of their self?
One of the main generic ways is that you're not getting to the point of where you want to be, that you're stuck, you're in this loop, or, oh, here it is ago, even 10 years ago, I'm still in the same place type of thing. Those are the people that are overthinking, and they allow their thoughts to just, they want to get perfect, and they get caught up in this structure. People that overly talk, they vomit on people, they talk too much, they get in people's faces. People that are scattered, they're all over the place. They can't focus on one thing, so they go back and forth and just can't finish tasks. People that are overly giving, they give too much to other people because they don't want to feel selfish. That they don't know that selfishness does not equal self-nourishment, that they feel resentful later, and then they start get upset and they go back and start overly giving because they don't value themselves. People that are not expressing themselves well, they just hold in and they're just to themselves.
And that's no good.
Feeling. Right. People don't know what they're thinking and feeling, so they guess. So they overprocess things. They have a hard time disconnecting, things like that.
I realize that a lot of girls have this problem in particular, being so good-hearted that they give and give. Well, literally, a lot of bad people are going to take advantage of that. And then you get destroyed years along the line and you didn't see shit because you're so good-hearted, and you're trying to see the good in everybody, but not everybody has some good. And you can't just give it all to somebody in a relationship. You should give as much as that person is giving you back, because if you're giving like 5 times more than that other person, well, you're probably not in the right relationship. But a lot of people don't realize that. And I saw a lot of girls have that trait of being so good-hearted, and they got destroyed by guys that took advantage of that. How can parents identify this self-sabotaging trait in their children early to try to help them grow up? Without protecting themselves all their life there.
Yeah, they need to learn how to find it within themselves through our T-Now program. And then from there, they will then understand their children, and they'll see how each of their children are somewhat different and how they should approach each child differently instead of one general way.
Everybody in the same mold. Yeah, that never works.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people struggle in their relationships and feel disconnected or misunderstood by their partner. I realize that you realize like some stuff that what's the secret understanding your partner's needs, like without guessing that? Because a lot of people are in relationships, and I look at them in the restaurant, I'm like, well, those two are, I don't even hear what they say, but I know they're not honest with each other. And relationships are based on honesty. So what do you see that you can fix?
Yeah, and that's again coming down to understanding your partner's saboteur. Let me give you an example. I had a guy I met a month previously, and he calls me up a month later and he says, "I'm going to the divorce attorney tomorrow. What can you do?" I'm like, "Well, what?" I'm like, "Okay, wait. Let's get your wife on because I wanted to make sure they hated each other, but they were just protecting themselves." And then during the process of working with them in our program, we saw major changes. And then you bring the children into play. And now each one understood why the other one handled the other child differently and how the other one didn't agree with it. But now they understood why that person reacted the way they did. And when they came together and came up with a plan based on their both antidote of themselves as well as their children, we've seen minimally 5 to 6 marriages not go into this divorce. So it's that simple. Didn't say it was easy, but it's that simple, and we can get there faster.
Absolutely. And communication is the key to fucking success, and no matter what. And understanding your children is very important. So if you don't understand self-sabotage yourself, well, you need to figure that out and then start analyzing your child and be like, okay, I could push him in that direction. It won't put him in a corner for sure. People often talk about the imposter syndrome. Can you tell us a bit about this? And but it seems like your work digs even deeper in the psychological roots of this. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, imposter syndrome is that you're not good enough. That I see this when a lot of coaches,
like a victim mindset.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's like a coach, like a business coach or maybe a life coach, or whatever, and they're giving people advice, but they feel that they shouldn't be giving advice, that they're an imposter because some of their lives aren't really going that well. And I'm like, well, that's why people are hiring you, because you've gone through that, right? If I going to hire, if I'm an addict, right? Am I going to hire a psychologist who just is book smart? Or am I going to hire a psychologist who's also went through addiction?
Absolutely.
Right? So that experience is there, but depending on, there's only 3 saboteurs. Okay. So depending on what saboteur you are, that imposter syndrome was created due to something totally different for each of the saboteurs. So a lot of times that's not addressed because they're doing more general understanding of why they're why the imposter compares to the true reason why they're going into that imposter syndrome. And once people understand that and they have the antidote, when they start feeling that imposter syndrome, they start using the antidote and they can get out of it much faster, and then moving forward so they don't feel that, and they can help more and more people.
That is so true. Like, I want somebody that fucking lived it. Like, I had somebody on the podcast that talks about porn addiction, and a lot of guys that don't want to admit that in life. And literally, the guy like lost his career, job, and everything because he was addict. Like, literally, he had everything, and literally, he was watching porn until crazy hours and having like 1 hour sleep to go to work to barely work. And literally, it was a circle of just fucking porn and alcohol nonstop. And I started point like the people in his business were like, man, we gotta kick him out there for him to go get help. And now he's an expert on this and helping people. And he's like, I love hearing like the excuses guys say and everything, because I've been through it. Don't worry, I know all of them, bro. And I was like, man, that is so true. And for sure, I don't want this girl that just studied porn addiction. I want the person that went through this shit and literally lost everything because of it and came out stronger to help other people.
Right.
Because that guy had lived through it completely. You really need to understand yourself, your sabotage first, like you said earlier.
Yeah, you have to understand you and why you're reacting to your teenager. Are they like you and that's why you're pissed off? Are they not telling you certain things because you're demanding certain? For instance, I was doing my workshop and I had a gentleman, a manager, come up to me and said, my son's always upstairs playing video games. I can't get him down to interact with the family. So I asked him a few questions. We ascertained his son's sequence, never met his son. He went back and his son within less than a week was downstairs interacting with the family. So he realized, and then the relationship skyrocketed over 2 months. So he realized he was the one pushing his son back in the room because he was making fun of him. That's how he grew up. But because his son had a different saboteur, he pushed him back in the room. As he understood that, they started to react and he let him to be who he was and doing all the things.
It's crazy how just that understanding could just change everything.
Exactly. And then we realized, because your profession and your business and your personal life are one, he was doing the same thing in his business. And as we shift that, his business skyrocketed as well.
Wow. It's crazy how just the little switch of understanding why somebody is like this, like no matter if it's just somebody that says something, if you understand why that person is always depressed and everything, you won't judge them for it. But it's the same thing with everything that Dr. Agrios is talking about. There's a lot of information out there on productivity, because literally there's apps shitting themselves every day. It's crazy. How does your 24-hour productivity boost method actually help people ditch procrastination and make real progress? Because I'm still stuck in procrastination today. There's some stuff that is easy for me, but there's some stuff that people are like, are you kidding me? You can't do that. Me opening the mail is a huge problem because it forces me to do something. No matter if it's a bill or a check, I'm pissed because somebody is forcing me as an adult to do something. And that there for me, it takes sometimes 4 to 6 months. And I imagine if you open your mail only 4 to 6 months, well, you got bills and problems for sure. And that happens constantly for me. And I even went to jail because of it, because I didn't give my address. And when I was in jail, I was like, isn't this incredible? I lost my freedom just because I didn't open my fucking mail. And I knew it was all me completely. And when you think, and I come back home, that at least I'll fix that, because literally I lost my freedom, bro. Like I was praying to God, crying in there for 46 hours, and it was all me, and I still don't fix that shit. How could...
It's your saboteur. Once you understand that in the antidote, we see this all the time with people just like yourself. Just why you're not doing it, because you are thinking that you have more pain to opening that mail than not, until it gets to that point. So yeah, again, the procrastination is just protecting you from what you think is going to be more pain by opening it.
Wow. Because I never liked authorities in life when I was a kid.
You don't even like you telling yourself what to do.
Yeah, that's it. So that's so real. Oh, that's good. So we're at the critical thinking part. What's one of the greatest lessons that you learned in your life or career that you still apply today?
My antidote. It's helped me tremendously. It helped me to create successful businesses, a second great new marriage, reinforce my family. Everything I tell everybody else has happened to me, and I consistently use it. And when I don't use it, I don't get on myself. I go, okay, why am I protecting myself? And then I continue using the antidote.
You put yourself back in self-awareness, trying to analyze right away when you see you're not using it. You're like, oh, I'm probably fucking up somewhere. Wow, that is a strong mindset too. Wow, man, that is good. What's your personal favorite achievement in your career or your life that you're most proud of?
Discovering this. It always comes down to this, man. I've devoted 33 years of my life to this.
And I find that fucking incredible. I had a guy on that studied life after death for the past 40 years. And it was incredible, because I'm somebody that just believe in facts there to the highest degree. So for somebody like me that believes just in facts, well, you're dead and it's over. The brain's off. And after I had the podcast with him, I was realizing, wow, it seems so beautiful what's after there, because he analyzed everybody that went through death and came back there. And he that's what he was checking, and he was realizing that they say that, oh, only God can judge me. Well, he realized that God doesn't judge at all there. The only person that's going to judge up there is yourself of yourself and nothing else. And you just understand everything, and there's no pain nowhere. And I'm like, wow, that's why they say hell is on earth, because and I was like, wow, if death is this after, wow, I was really seeing it from a beautiful view instead of seeing it of it's all done. So there's so much to learn when somebody dedicates this much time, because I won't. So that's why we have people like you on, and I really appreciate that. What's a surprising conspiracy or just a theory that people would be surprised that you believe?
I would say that I just think differently. I just think no matter what happens my way, I look at it as a benefit for me. No matter how good or bad it is, I just look at it as a benefit, and I find out why is it here in my life and how can I benefit from it.
Like no matter what happens, good.
No okay,
yeah, that's it. Right. Can you share an instance where your intuition or your gut feeling led you to make a decision or a challenge that traditional logic and expectations wouldn't do?
Close my practice. I've had people like, you're out of your mind. My patients were really upset with me, but I knew that I had a higher calling.
And I think I know the answer to the last one because of what you said right before. What's an example of a situation where thinking outside the box helped you solve a problem that others couldn't?
Dealing with my children. My ex had put a wedge between myself and my kids. One time I just said, if I never see my children again, I'm okay. And I really meant it, because I was over giving. I was just losing myself.
Fighting for nothing.
And when I let that go, things started to shift because I took care of me. I used my antidote at that moment, and our relationship is strong. No one can ever break our relationship.
Oh wow, that is some beautiful stuff. So I'll ask just one last one.
Sure.
Can you share a bit more about where you want this legacy to go, and how do you think you can expand this to the masses, like international?
This is what we do. We do have international clients. So we have 3 ways people get to understand the T-Now method. One, we have a group coaching course where people get one-on-ones with me and group coaching with myself. I do 4 and 8 hour workshops with companies. We just did one for the Army. And then I do have a membership site where people can come in and they can at least start understanding this. And so a monthly membership fee. So we have 3 different ways depending on what the people need and where they're at with their mindset and what they want to do.
Perfect. So where can everybody find your books? Are they on Amazon?
Yeah, so they can go to my website.
Okay, I'll put them on the site.
The website, right? And then if they're interested in the membership site, they can go there. If they're interested in, if they're a business owner, executive, sales professional, or entrepreneur, they can go into the other one that will be down in your podcast. Links. It's a 12-minute video. It goes a little deeper what we do, and then they can have to see if the group coaching is right for them.
Okay, so thanks again for coming on. It was an honor to have you.
Well, it was a great conversation. I hope this was valuable for you and your audience.
For sure it was. So thanks everybody and have a great weekend.